John F. Kennedy says, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty."
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of YemmaNation Explores Reading. If this is your first time watching, my name is Mr. Yemma and I'm an instructional coach in the Youngstown City School District. I'm doing a reading series where I read aloud books from National Geographic that we have at our schools for grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Today I'm going to read a book called A History of Favorite Foods. This book was written for a 4th grade level. As always, you don't have to be in 4th grade to follow along with me, and somebody at any age level can learn something. So I hope you enjoy.
A History of Favorite Foods by Susan E. Goodman and Peter Winkler. A Slice of History by Susan E. Goodman. What's your favorite kind of pizza? Cheese? Pepperoni? People may disagree on what their favorite pizza is, but most agree that pizza is a favorite food. Where and when did people start making pizza? To find out, we have to travel far back in time. People have been baking dough on hot rocks since the Stone Age. Prehistoric pizza. Stone Age people gather wild grains. They mix them together into a batter, then poured the batter onto rocks in their campfires. What they got was flat bread, the first pizza crust. In time, prehistoric bakers started using the flatbread as a kind of plate. They put meats, herbs, and spices on the bread. Then they ate it. Munching to war. Early pizza makers quickly learned that pizza was a convenient food to eat while on the move. About 2,500 years ago, an army from Persia, an ancient Middle Eastern country, was marching to war. The soldiers found that they had the perfect tool for baking pizza dough: their shields. As their pizza dough baked, they covered it with cheese and dates. Lots of others made pizza too. About 2,000 years ago, a Roman man wore a cookbook that included one recipe directing cooks to put toppings on flatbread. The Roman dish contained some of the same ingredients used to make pizza today, including cheese, garlic, and oil. It also called for some unusual ingredients, such as mint and pine kernels. The pizza was then cooled in snow just before it was served. Poisonous pizza? Over the centuries, tastes changed. During the Age of Exploration, explorers sought a better route to Asia to trade for spices made there. One of these explorers was Christopher Columbus, who famously ended up in the Americas. There, he and others found strange new foods, including the wonderful tomato. An explorer brought tomatoes to Europe around 1523. Europeans refused to put them on pizza. However, most people thought tomatoes were poisonous. For about 200 years, almost no one in Europe even tried tomatoes. Slowly, though, people realized that the red fruit was safe to eat and also extremely tasty. Then, cooks in Naples, an Italian city, began putting tomatoes on baking dough. The first pizzeria. The inventive Neapolitan chefs didn't stop there. They soon took another big step in pizza history. In 1830, they opened up the world's first true pizza shop in their ancient city. Cooking pizza wasn't easy. In fact, it was even a little dangerous. Pizza makers didn't use wood, gas, or electric ovens. They had to heat rocks to bake the pizza dough, so they used lava from a nearby volcano to do it. Despite the danger to pizza cooks, pizza was soon a big hit. People ate it for lunch, dinner, and even breakfast. News of the pizza shop spread quickly, and lots of people traveled to Naples to try the tasty dish. A royal treat. In 1889, the King of Italy came to Naples with his wife, Queen Margherita. They asked a pizza chef to bring some pizza to the palace. The chef made a pizza using the colors of the Italian flag, red, white, and green. He first put red tomatoes on the dough. He spread white mozzarella cheese on next, then he sprinkled the green herb basil on top. The chef named the pizza after the queen, Margherita, and the first modern pizza was born. When many Italians moved to the United States in the late 1800s, they brought pizza with them. They had to change their recipes, however. In Italy, mozzarella cheese is made with water buffalo milk. There are no wild water buffalo in the US, however, so the pizza makers made mozzarella from cow's milk. The first American pizzeria was Lombardi's in New York City, which opened its doors in 1905. The shop still serves pizza today. Still, pizza did not catch on right away. Things changed in the 1940s, when the U.S. entered World War II. Many U.S. soldiers fought in Italy, where some of them tasted pizza for the first time. Needless to say, they liked it. The soldiers came home talking about the new food they had tried in Italy, and soon pizza shops began opening all over the United States. A world of pizza. Now pizza is one of the top 3 most eaten U.S. foods. We eat about 350 slices of pizza every second. Pepperoni is our favorite topping. It appears atop a third of America's pizzas. Of course, Americans are hardly the only pizza lovers. People around the world eat 5 billion pizzas a year, and choices for toppings vary widely. Brazilians love green peas on their pizza, for example, while Russians like fish and onions. People in India use lamb and tofu, and the Japanese think eel and squid are yummy. Some pizza recipes may truly sound strange, yet all share 2 things in common. Each begins with bread, and each is a slice of history. Ice Cream Chronicles by Peter Winkler. Get the scoop on this cool treat. All across the world, people love ice cream. Just mention the phrase ice cream in some places and everybody smiles. The United States alone produces 1.6 billion gallons of frozen desserts annually. It exports about 40 million of those gallons to other countries, especially Japan. The rest of the ice cream stays in the U.S. to be consumed by its ice cream-loving masses. In fact, each year people in the U.S. spend almost $20 billion on ice cream and other frozen desserts. Given ice cream's popularity, you would think its inventor would be world famous. Here's the problem. No one knows who that inventor was. Intrigued? Read on to taste more of the history and mystery of one of the most popular treats of all time, ice cream. Old World. At first, ice cream was an exclusive treat enjoyed primarily by the rich and the royal. Before refrigeration, ice cream was rare and expensive. Making ice cream also took hours, so it helped to have servants who could do it. In the year 54. Sweet snow. In the year 54, Nero became emperor of Rome. He knew how to throw a feast. For dessert, he served a one-of-a-kind treat, sweet snow. To make it, Nero's slaves ran up into the mountains and gathered snow. They then sprinted back to the kitchen, where cooks flavored the snow with fruit, wine, or honey. In the year 1295, cool legend. Italian explorer Marco Polo returned home after 17 years in China. His book, Description of the World, amazed Europeans. Among the strange things he encountered was milk dried into a kind of paste. Over time, that piece of Polo's story grew into the false legend that he had brought home a recipe for ice cream. The 1660s, rare treat. Wealthy Europeans enjoyed a rare new treat, water ice. Before long, creative cooks added cream to the mix. To make the treat really fancy, they used metal molds to form ice cream into all sorts of shapes. Coming to America. Like most Americans, ice cream was an immigrant. And like most immigrants, it changed a lot after arriving in the United States. With the rise of factories in the 1800s, ice cream became a mass-produced treat. 1774, founding fans. In his diary, William Black mentioned fine ice cream at a dinner party in Maryland. That's the first record of ice cream in the United States. Fans of this cool treat later included George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. When Jefferson was a diplomat in France in the 1780s, he became fond of vanilla and probably introduced it to America. Vanilla is now the best-selling ice cream flavor. 1843, Mighty Machine. Making ice cream took a lot of muscle. The first step was putting a pail of cream inside a bucket of ice. For the next few hours, cooks had to stir the cream and shake the ice. Things got much easier in 1843 when Nancy Johnson invented an ice cream machine. Turning a crank stirred the ingredients and made the ice cream freeze smoothly. 1850s, first factories. Jacob Fussell opened America's first ice cream factories. More than anyone else, says one history book, he was responsible for starting the Americans' love affair with ice cream. His partner, James Horton, later opened his own ice cream factory in New York City. Gaining popularity. By 1900, almost anyone could afford ice cream. Ice cream vendors began experimenting with ways to entice their customers to buy more of the tasty treat. 1870s, ice cream sodas. Soda, or bubbly water, became popular during the 1800s. Sweet syrups flavored the fizzy drinks. It is not known who thought of adding ice cream to soda, but there is less uncertainty about where the popular combination first took hold. Depending on who you believe, it happened in Philadelphia or New York or Detroit. In any case, going out for ice cream sodas was still a favorite activity in the 1950s. 1880s, Sundays. The Sunday is probably named for the first day of the week. One popular tale is that many places banned selling sodas on Sunday. In response, a crafty merchant put just ice cream and syrup in a dish. The gooey result was a hit. Today, at least 5 U.S. towns claim to be the Sunday's birthplace. 1904, first cone? When visitors attended the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri, they marveled at the first sight of an ice cream cone. But just who invented it? Several fair vendors claimed the clever idea as their own, but the glory generally goes to Ernest Hamwi, an immigrant from Syria. As the story goes, Hamwi was selling thin, waffle-shaped cakes next to an ice cream stand at the fair. The ice cream seller ran out of dishes, so Hamwi quickly shaped his cakes into cones that could hold the ice cream. New twists on an old treat. Today, 90% of American households eat ice cream. Ever-inventive ice cream producers constantly seek new ways to keep customers interested. 1919, brick on a stick. Danish immigrant Christian Nelson sold candy in Iowa. One spring afternoon, a young customer said he wanted some chocolate, and then changed his mind. What he really wanted was ice cream. That gave Nelson an idea. Soon, Nelson had created the ice cream bar, a small brick of ice cream that coated with chocolate. Nelson then placed his creation on a stick, just as factories still do today. 1934, hitting the road. Thomas Carvelis, a Greek-American, began selling ice cream in New York State. He used his profits to invent a freezer that could produce soft Carvel ice cream, the precursor of today's soft serve. Carvelis paired his invention with a favorite American machine, the car, carefully placing shops along highways. Carvel built an ice cream empire. Today, far-out flavors. Some aspects of ice cream haven't changed. Back in the 1790s, a New York cookbook included recipes for Parmesan, ginger, and brown bread ice cream. Such wild flavorings are still popular. Today's New Yorkers can try rose, ketchup, or potato chip flavored ice cream. Indeed, ice cream in the United States, like the nation itself, is as flavorful as ever. Burger battle. Who made the first hamburger? For many people, a round beef patty in between two bread buns is the definition of happiness. Indeed, hamburgers are a favorite food throughout the Americas. In the United States alone, people eat 14 billion of them each year. This popular food has a long and mysterious history. Burgers may date back to the 1200s, when people called the Mongols ruled large parts of Europe and Asia. Mongol horsemen made patties out of lamb scraps and then put the patties under their saddles to soften the meat. The men then ate the patties, raw. The story continues in the German city of Hamburg, where people stacked salty beef scraps on round bread. The dish, called Hamburg steak, came to America during the 1900s with German immigrants. Modern meal. At some point, Americans cooked up what are known as modern burgers. Still, different states claim to be the true home of the hamburger. Wisconsin honors Charles Negreen as father of the modern burger. According to the story, in 1885, he sold meatballs at a county fair. The meatballs were hard to eat while walking, so he flattened them between slices of bread. Folks in Hamburg, New York tell a different story. Also in 1855, Hamburg's Frank and Charles Menches sold pork patty sandwiches at a fair there. They ran out of pork and used ground beef instead, and they named their new sandwich after the town. Connecticut has a claim on burger history too. In 1900, Louis Lassen's lunch counter in New Haven served steak scraps on bread. His descendants still own the place and say Lassen made the first real burger. Texas may pass a law claiming to be the burger's true home. Texans say that Fletch Davis invented burgers at his restaurant in Texas and introduced them to America at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. Which tale is true? That's a tough question to answer. Records are scarce, so no one knows for certain. One thing is sure, the battle over the burger's birthplace won't end anytime soon. Street food favorites. Often, foods become popular because they are easy to buy and easy to eat. In nearly every country of the world, street vendors serve up fast, cheap, tasty snacks that are among people's favorites. Here are just a few of these much-loved street eats. Mexico, paleta de mango. Pierced with a stick, then peeled and sliced into sections, sweet mango fruit is sprinkled with lime juice, chili powder, and salt. Brazil, acarajé. Fritters of mashed black-eyed peas are filled with vatapa, a sun-dried shrimp puree mixed with okra, tomatoes, and cilantro. Germany, currywurst. Grilled pork sausage is sliced and topped with a few squirts of ketchup, then dusted with curry powder. It's served with a roll or fries. Poland, obrazanki. Bread rings or brushed with egg white to add shine are tied together with a string to hang around the neck or wrist. India, pani puri, also called golgappa. Potato cubes, chickpeas, and tomatoes are stuffed in a fried flour shell, then covered in tamarind sauce.
The end. Thanks for following along. I hope you enjoyed reading this book with me. Pizza, ice cream, and hamburgers are all popular foods. Each one has a fascinating history. For me, I've always loved hamburgers. That's my favorite food. Every place I go, I know if a restaurant's good, if they can serve me a good hamburger. And I love to grill burgers on my own, on my grill outside. Another thing that I found that I tried before and I really like and I recommend to anybody are the mangoes that they talked about in Mexico with lime juice and chili powder sprinkled on top of that. If you ever get a chance, you have some chili powder and lime juice lying around the house, next time you go to the store and see a mango, I recommend you try it. It's really good. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you next time on YemmaNation Explores Reading. Thank you.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look